You just did a magnificent lecture upstairs.
Thank you,
I
Rich.
want them to go to the website, but I want you to give a brief 15-minute synopsis of what you was dealing with upstairs. This X-Men Apocalypse. The opening scene was in Egypt.
Yeah, no,
it
wasn't in Egypt. It was the Nile Valley. Did you peep that? Did you peep how they said Nile Valley though?
Let us know what's going on with X-Men. Please.
Oh yeah, most definitely. So when we talk about X-Men, what are we talking about? You know, are we talking about people that used to be men? Are we talking about female men because they're X-Men, men with female chromosomes? What is the deal? When you talk about the word X-Men, the X represents Photo 51. Photo 51 was a picture taken in 1951 by Rosalind Franklin and Raymond Gosling that provided the picture that allowed the structure of DNA to be, discovered. The same year Photo 51 was taken was the year that Henrietta Lacks transitioned and her cervix was taken from her unknowingly to her and her family by a doctor because she was the first cell that they were able to document that was a immortal cell line. And an immortalized cell line is a group of cells that can continue to replicate infinitely. So all the biology books, mitochondria, cells, blood that you know to this day that you studied in school has everything to do with the studies of these HeLa cells, Henrietta Lacks cells that they got in 1951. They were all under the guidance of this guy named John Randall who amassed them in order to find this structure. So when you look at the X-Men logo, the X is Photo 51. It represents DNA. And the whole premise of the concept of X-Men is about mutants. What is a mutant? A mutant is an individual through puberty, through a stressful emotional situation, allows these dormant inherent abilities to be expressed. So how do we get dormant abilities to get expressed? Based upon genes being read, RNA being synthesized, and the message from that RNA then allowing ribosomes to synthesize proteins. Proteins can be enzymes, they could be hormones, they could be different messengers in your body. So you being able to glow or you being able to perform certain feats of strength and ability is based upon what type of enzymes and proteins are in your body, which you will be able to create by synthesizing those particular proteins from the gene sequence that's inherent in the DNA. Now, our DNA is locked down by us being in a society full of false leaders, full of bad technology and electropollution. So when we see Apocalypse coming alive right now, he was awakened because he is now in a realm where the powerful is the weak. The meek shall inherit the earth, as they said, right? When he went to sleep, we were in power. All right. So Apocalypse means to reveal. All right. So he's not the bad guy. So stop going to these movies with these superheroes looking at good guy, bad guy. That's why they had Civil War this year, because they wanted to show you there's a fine line between those two. You have to look at the magic. You got to look at the energy. You got to look at the message. OK, study the science and get rid of the fiction. That's what it's all about. So when you're dealing with Apocalypse, you're dealing with Ta'atanin or Taitnin, which is a deity from Kemet who was another aspect of Geb. Geb represented the earth, had Newt stretched over. When you deal with Newt and Geb, you deal with a capacitor, or you deal with an electromagnetic situation of an anode and cathode. The ionosphere represents one charge and the earth represents another charge, with Shu being the collector of charge and force energy in between. So in this case, we're dealing with this Geb aspect of Ta'atanin, who represented the Apocalypse character. And if you look him up online, you'll see he has the two-tone blue complexion on the wall and everything. Plus, he is known to have dwelled on the mound and the Ben Ben stone. The first scene in the movie had everything to do with the Ben Ben stone, or the capstone that's on the top of the pyramid. This capstone was inundated with the light frequencies of the sun, and the gold in this Ben Ben stone then got charged and conducted in order to perform a particular ritual which would allow Apocalypse to transfer his consciousness into another body. Now, our ancestors, our griots, our Jolly Kundas, that's what they do. They transfer consciousness into other bodies by way of DNA through vertical gene transfer, by way of allegories and stories that they tell to the village and to the children. All right. Those are the ways that they're able to convey that information to us. Now, the person that was in the pyramid, Oscar Isaac, who played Poe Dameron in Star Wars, now plays a character who can regenerate. So he wanted to enter into a body that was able to be immortalized or regenerate. So this ties back to telomerase. What is telomerase? Well, if we go into DNA, DNA is a fiber. Okay, with any other fiber or any other string, it could get tangled. Okay, like women's hair if they don't brush it and braid it, right? Okay, women brush, braid their hair so they can give order and structure to their hair so they can manage it properly. So if you got 6 feet of DNA in one of your cells, how do you manage that 6 foot of fiber properly? You have histones that are responsible for winding up this particular DNA. When the DNA gets wound up or closed, it is not accessible. When DNA is unwound and open, it is accessible. So you being able to read more parts of your DNA has everything to do with your relationship with your histones. And I got a product called Histonic that deals with just that. So www.Ktthearchdegree.com. So these particular histones wind up the DNA, make a chromosome. Chromosomes are nothing more than a plaited or organized form of your DNA fiber. Now, once you have the chromosome and you look at the tips of the chromosome, you have something called telomeres. So the same way the chromosome has 2 arms pointing up and 2 arms pointing down, if you look at those as hands and feet, that means the hands and feet of the chromosome represents the telomere. Depending on how long and how big your hands or feet are determines how long you stay young. Age or senescence is directly proportional to the length of your telomeres. If you break through something called the Hayflick limit, which allows you to keep your telomeres long or even elongate them, you have now figured out a way to stay young for a longer period of time. So, as they say when they went into Kemet, that most of the people that were in the sarcophagi or the people that died were in their 30s, so Kemet didn't know nothing about health. What I would say is perhaps these people understood telomeres, and what they did is they died looking 30, or they died looking 20, or they died looking 18 because they took care of themselves, but they really probably was 80 or 120 years old. You see what I'm saying? So the telomeres are kept on point by an enzyme called telomerase. So when you find that gene on your DNA that codes for telomerase and the RNA synthesizes that gene code, then you will produce the protein telomerase so that you can keep your telomere strong, which is what Histonic does based upon it having a powerful ingredient in it called resveratrol, which is the plant version of tyrosine. So when we deal with these other characters in the movie, like we had Cyclops representing the all-seeing eye. All right. This is why every time there was an apocalypse scene, it was followed by a Cyclops scene. He's blasting with the one eye. Then you have Mystique. Most people don't know who Mystique represents comedically. She's Sekhmet. She represents the cat. OK, and Sekhmet is directly related to Ra, just like Sekhmet is directly related to Ra through the fact that Mystique's powers is to turn into anybody. It's not that she really turns into anybody, but she moves the scales or the fur or the cilia that she has on her skin that creates an illusion. So your eyes think you're looking at a mailman, milkman, president, you know what I'm saying, or whoever, superstar. So by Ra representing the all-seeing eye and Sekhmet having her relationship with Ra, it'll show you why she has one of the powers that Ra would possess, and that's the manipulation of vision and the optics. And when you look at her suit, she looks like a cat. And Jennifer Lawrence is a Leo who plays the character. All right. Mystique is also Nightcrawler's mother in the movie. All right. And the father was in the first X-Men First Class, the Azazel, I believe was his name. Yeah. So we also have Storm's character, where Apocalypse talked about her being the goddess. He was the first person. She was the first person he went to in the movie because it was the black woman. Okay, and she gave the black woman back her crown. No, she didn't take the melanin out her hair and turn it gray. No, she gave her, or rather allowed her to recognize that she donned or wore the white crown, which is the crown of Upper Kemet, the crown of Cush, the crown of Napata, the crown of Moreau, the crown of her future husband, T'Challa, or the Black Panther. All right. He called her the goddess. He did not call anybody else a god or a goddess in the movie. All right. So that was a very, very powerful scene, because in order for the revelation to occur, in order for the next level to take place, yes, the woman has to realize what her true powers are. All right. Another character in the movie that I felt was very dynamic was Quicksilver. Quicksilver representing Mercury. I broke Quicksilver down a great deal when I did Avengers Decoded. It's the same character, except it's two different actors playing, and we go more into the space-time manipulation, the quantum realm, with this particular version of Quicksilver. So y'all can go back and check out my previous Avengers, which I actually did with Brother Rich, and I went into Quicksilver a great deal. But just to let you know, in alchemy, Quicksilver represents Mercury. Mercury represents the mind. So the thought has no limit. Thought can go quicker than the speed of light. That's why, we're dealing with him, and he's representing thought in respect to Magneto representing the heart, because Magneto represents the heart. He represents the heart because the magnetic field is generated from our heartbeat. Because this is where all the blood is. This is where all the iron is. And it pumps and it creates a magnetic field that gets entangled with other magnetic fields. And that's how you're able to feel the vibe of another individual. Magneto's very emotional, so everything he deals with the heart. And he wears that helmet to protect from Professor X being able to read in his mind, or another way of saying that he's shutting his head down and opening up his heart. All right. And then his daughter having the powers of talking with the animals. The animals are all connected by the magnetic field of the planet. They have hematite inside. That's why birds can flock, can fly in flocks, and pigeons can bank in synchronicity, and birds, school of fish, can swim, the same way and turn and swish around in the water, without no rehearsal, because they're all dealing with that magnetic energy there. One of the most powerful messages that they gave us in this movie was the whole concept of astral projection. And I say this to people: when you get up in the morning and you open up your eyes, you say, okay, now I'm awake. And awake in the morning. If you say I'm awake in the morning, that's death. Okay, so we wake up to a death culture. Obviously, we plan out our day. We become exhausted by all the work that we do. And what do we do when we get exhausted? We decide to lay down to go to sleep. Who equates sleep with the lack of consciousness, though? Why are we not going to sleep with a list of duties? So I want everybody to check my site out, www.ktthearchdegree.com. On there, not only do I have a connection to all my decodeds that I've done before, but there's also my products, because what I deal with is trying to take the science out of these movies and actually give them to the people. People are not able to attain these high frequency abilities because we are diseased. So we got to kind of get to a level ground. So I deal with compounds that help to get everybody on level ground, and if you're already on level ground, helps to assist you to get on top of a mountain. So why don't you look me up, check me out. I got all of these plant-based medicinals that can assist you with the issues that you have. And you can find me, KT the Arch Degree, on Instagram, Kamani Tate on Facebook, and once again, www.ktthearchdegree.com. Peace.
Peace, family. This is Brother Rich from UGR. urging all my viewers and subscribers to help support the channel by donating just $1 to the UGR PayPal account. We appreciate the viewership and support, and we understand the power of $1. If you benefit in any way, shape, or form, we ask that you donate $1, whether it be monthly, bi-monthly, quarterly, or yearly, so that we can build our brand to compete with the NBCs, the MTVs, and the Foxes of the world. I figured since Kanye could ask Mark Zuckerberg for $1 billion, I could ask my subscribers to donate $1 so I could make the best possible content possible. The main objective of this channel is to inspire you to become the greatest version of yourself. So hopefully throughout the years of you watching this program, you have been inspired to become the greatest version of yourself. If you would like to donate, you could go to www.paypal.com and send a donation to richandmerit7@yahoo.com. Thank you and enjoy the rest of your program.